would know so well. And I joined a company called Austin Rover.
Oh, right.
Then the successor to British Leyland.
Mm.
And so I was there for 3 years, then Ford Motor Company for 2 years. And then I went on to the dealership side, not the garage, Roger, the dealership side of the business.
Yes, indeed.
And I ran a Jaguar dealership in the Cotswolds in my mid-20s, which was great fun and awfully grown up. And then I returned back to, I'm going to say Yorkshire again, to Yorkshire to run a motor group with 10 dealerships in my later 20s. So that was all excellent grounding that I believe God had put in place for me as foundation blocks for understanding how business works. And I then returned to the Northwest with my wife, whom I met, Anita, up in Yorkshire. She's a Yorkshire farmer's daughter, and came back and we started our own business here on the Wirral. Very simply, with £100 of share capital, £50 each, and a £10,000 loan from our local Barclays Bank. Yeah, that's how it began. Yeah.
And how many years was it before you started to make a profit?
Year one, Roger.
Oh, good. Well done.
Yeah.
And your first dealership was with whom?
Well, our first dealership was 6 years after we started our business. You have to put a bit of wool on your back to make these commitments, buying a piece of land, an acre of land, building a building of about 20,000 square feet, and so on, and then staffing it and having stock and working capital. So that was 6 years in, and that was Mitsubishi, a German, what am I saying? A Japanese brand.
Yes.
Japanese brand, Mitsubishi. And it was a very exciting undertaking for a chap in his mid-30s. And yes, it was a great fit for us.
Now, I don't know much about buying and selling cars. I have to do it once in a while. But Sunday is often the busiest day, isn't it, for a dealership? And you don't open on Sunday. And you make it very clear that you don't. You say, I think, right at the front door of your dealership, at home with the family on Sundays. Now, explain your thinking and what have been the implications of this for business?
Well, the wonderful thing for all of us and those tuning into what we're discussing today, whether you have a faith or not, is that the Bible gives us a great framework for living life well. And the Bible is really clear, even as far back as the Ten Commandments, that we need to have a different day once a week. We need to keep the, and I quote, the Sabbath holy. And I've always been very keen, perhaps due to my father's background. He was head of personnel at Cadbury Schweppes, a Quaker, you know, and the Cadbury family always had their colleagues, we don't use the word staff, our colleagues' best interests at heart. And so to continue that, and also to be mindful of the responsibility that comes with leading an organization, I was very keen that my colleagues achieved success at home as well as at work. So often we see people who are very successful in the workplace, but have paid a price.
Yeah.
They've made sacrifices. And sometimes that's their relationship with their children, because they haven't spent as much time at home. And sadly, in some cases, it's marriages that fall by the wayside as well. So working on a Sunday and having a Tuesday off when your wife or husband's at work or when your children are at school, it's not really God's perfect way of living well. And so I always insisted we would work our socks off 6 days a week, but on a Sunday, we keep it special. So that's where I came from, Roger, with our ethos in the business.
Did you, when you explained this, I don't know, to the dealerships that you were working with, did you explain it from a Christian point of view? The Bible says, you know, the Ten Commandments, or was it very much family orientated argument?
I think as Christians, if we can start a conversation through common sense, reason, and even tradition, that's not a bad place to start. It brings people with you. But, you know, God's called us to be very upfront about our faith. So with sensitivity and some wisdom, I think these conversations can follow. We actually did extraordinarily well with this particular franchise we had. And I won't name it by name again, because I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about keeping Sundays special. But I did meet with them and I said, you know, at the end of our lives, we'll be more accountable to our, and I'm looking upwards now, our ultimate manufacturer than our motor manufacturer. And I wasn't happy to compromise. So I had about a year, sadly, to step away from this very significant investment and relationship we cultivated. But I trusted God. I had 20 colleagues working with me then, and two were Christians, 17 or so, 18 or so, were very sympathetic and supportive of my approach and the way I led the organization. But I think if I'm summarizing, I'm praising what they said. They said, Mark, we don't believe or trust in God ourselves, but we believe in the God that you're trusting in, and therefore we'll understand the direction of travel. So very sadly, a year after that meeting, we closed the business down. We put our corporate workwear in the laundry for the last time. We locked the front door for the last time, and we walked away from that entire site. But God's timing is always perfect, Roger. You know, I had to make those 20 people redundant from their jobs, which was much bigger problem for them than having a Sunday or a Tuesday off. But the wonderful thing was, 2 days later, the following Monday morning, all 20 walked into a brand new build, Mazda, 5 miles, arguably in a better location than we were previously. And that was God's timing. They came through it, and not anyone lost their jobs, and they all came to join me 18 years ago at our newly built Mazda business. So that's wonderful.